So you still think you live on a globe, right? Where people on the other side of the globe, like let's say in Australia, are living life like this, flipping upside down and walking upside down and running upside down and swimming upside down and boating upside down. You believe this, right? I mean, you would have to if you think you live on a globe. Well, what if no one's actually doing anything upside down? What if you just believe that because you were told that at a very young age? What if we live on something much more like this, where everyone is right side up and the sun and the moon circle above us? And well, there's this ice wall that surrounds all of us and holds in the water that's always flat and level. You know, kind of like what's exactly depicted in actual maps from pre NASA days. This is a 1944 map that the air school teachers used to actually use to teach their students. And notice the white thing going around them. Yeah, that's actually Antarctica and how it used to be depicted on these pre-NASA maps. And you know the funny thing about Antarctica? It just happens to be the highest elevated land in all the world by more than double. That's Antarctica. Average elevation by continent. That's Antarctica. More than double. So it's saying this kind of acts like a bowl or a cup. You know, kind of like described in the Bible when it says the earth takes shape like clay under a seal. But Tyler, if the sun were circling us, how would we ever have night and day? Because here it's so easily explainable. The earth turns every 24 hours and half of it's facing the sun and the other half isn't. Oh, that looks really real, by the way. Well, I'm so glad you asked that question. You see, the sun is local and it's close, and the earth is a pretty big place. And even though you don't realize this because we're told differently, light doesn't travel endlessly. And well, if you still think you live on a globe, then you really don't realize that you live in an enclosed system. There's an enclosure above us, the firmament, in fact, and this is what happens when a light is shined on the firmament. It's also why you can see the sun angling, because it's circling. If it was just going down because the earth was rotating, well, it would go in a straight line. It wouldn't be angling, and it definitely wouldn't be getting smaller. Here's a great example of it not only getting smaller, but also angling, because it's circling, and the only reason it appears to go down is because of perspective. And when something gets further away in perspective, it goes lower in your field of vision and gets smaller, kind of like we see in this example here. And yes, you don't always see that because a lot of times there's thick atmosphere which acts as a lens, but on a low humidity day, it's clear as day. Oh, and the sun actually isn't in here with us. No, it's in the firmament. We just see the apparent sun, kind of like when you see a rainbow. And I'll show you evidence of that. Here is my very own backyard during the April 8th eclipse last year. And see, here's the apparent sun, and there's the actual sun in the firmament. And that's the lens flare flying around. So this is actually much closer to our reality than most people realize, because the light we see isn't the source. It's coming from a different source. Kind of like when you shine a light in a paperweight. This is a paperweight and I'm shining my iPhone light at it. The iPhone light in the paperweight and the sun on the April 8th eclipse. The apparent sun and then the actual source. Funny how the apparent light in the paperweight looks an awful lot like the apparent light that I see in the sky. Now, I'm not claiming to know what that is. That's the real sun, the sun that God put in the firmament to light the day. Now, I don't know what it is. It's spiritual. God created it. He can do whatever he wants. He literally could have a giant iPhone pointing down at us. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I don't know. But it sure makes me feel good. It sure makes things grow and it makes things happy. So I think there's something more to it than just a light. But I mean, you know, I'm just kidding, right? I know I live right there and I'm spinning 1,000 miles per hour right now and hurling towards the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. And there are definitely people running around upside down in Australia. I mean, just because I don't see it or never have, or it defies all logic and reason, kind of like water bending around to stick to the other side of the ball, it doesn't mean it's not true. I mean, this is totally illogical. Stuff moving above us, even though every day I see the sun, it looks like it's moving and not us. And a place where everyone is standing in the same direction, well, that's just comical. Oh, You know, the funny thing about this NASA video is that the clouds don't ever seem to move. I mean, the Earth's rotating several hours, yet the clouds stay the exact same. I mean, I don't know about you, but I sure see the clouds and storm fronts moving a lot faster than standing still. All for entertainment purposes, people. I'm sure they just depicted things this way back then because they didn't know any better. Entertainment only.
Let's do Biblical Flat Earth 101. The very first page of the Bible, God spent the entire second day creating the firmament to separate the waters from the waters. Go and find any video of the moon on a P1000, not a telescope, and you can clearly see it's underwater. Look in the craters, they're like blinking with water. This is what stars look like. Just looks like energy in water. The mainstream science for this is that fish are picked up in water spouts and hang out somewhere in the sky until it rains. But that ignores that the same places get raining fish like clockwork, almost as if there's a window of heaven above. In the 600th year of Noah's life, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up and the windows of heaven were opened. You can find several videos like this over the years of just like things from the sky just leaking out. And a lot of Christians will try to say, oh, the firmament means the atmosphere. Not so fast, because Job 37 says, hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as a molten looking glass.
Tonight, the FAA is now investigating mysterious 6-foot chunk of ice falling from the sky, slamming into a home in Palm Coast, Florida, north of Daytona Beach. The ice smashing through the metal roof of the home. Pieces of ice also found in the street. No one inside the home at the time was hurt. Authorities believe it likely fell from a plane.
Or they might try to feed you Isaiah 40:22. It is he who sits above the circle of the earth. Two things. They conveniently forget the very next words, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them like a tent to dwell in. This is the firmament. Let's jump to Isaiah 22, where he says, he will seize firm hold on you and whirl you around and around and throw you like a ball. Two different distinct Hebrew words. When he uses circle, it means flat. He uses ball here because he meant ball. This is also an official satellite photo from November of 1968. This definitely looks like a flat-ish circle to me. Lots of places in the Bible say that the earth does not move. It's stable. God set it on foundations. He hath compassed the waters with bounds. Two words, ice wall. In Joshua 10, the sun and moon stood still. Are things starting to make more sense now? The way the sun and moon work on flat earth makes so much more sense than the nonsense that they try to feed us. And you might be wondering, what about the planets? Aren't they spheres? You're telling me that we're the only flat ones? Nope, they are not spheres either. Wild waves of the sea, casting up the foam of their own shame, wandering stars for whom the gloom of utter darkness has been reserved forever. Here's a look at what planets actually look like in real life, not CGI, and notice how all of the planets are named after pantheon gods, aka fallen angels. They're literally just dulled down stars. They look the exact same except they have almost no sparkle to them. Wernher von Braun is the guy who founded NASA. His tombstone when he died said Psalms 19:1. Psalms 19:1 says the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Revelation 7:1, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. This is a Mercator map from the 1500s. I personally believe that we actually live here. This is Black Rock, by the way, and that's the North Pole. Seems like Microsoft believes the exact same thing, because look at their logo. If you turn it sideways, firmament, 4 corners, 4 rivers. And have any of you guys seen those videos of guys saying that they like walked to the US from India or places that shouldn't be walkable? The reason they hide this from you is because if you knew where you truly lived, you might find out that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, and that he died on the cross for our sins, and that he is the only way to eternal life, and that he wants you to return to him. Jesus is Lord, and you live in a biblical realm.
With a sphere of 4,000 miles radius being spun round once every 24 hours, a little bit of calculations will show that that person there is being spun round at about 1,000 miles an hour and doesn't know it. I mean, this is obvious nonsense. You go on a merry-go-round and it goes, I doubt, more than 10 miles an hour, and you get off all dizzy. You mean to tell me that people can be spun round at approximately 1,000 miles an hour and not know it? Why, if this is so, this whole room that we're in is supposedly being spun round at something of approximately that order of speed, and we don't know it.
Did you guys see that video of those men claiming that they walked from India to America?
Where are you from?
India.
India? What, you too?
Yeah.
How long have you been walking? All day?
All day. All day.
Did you fly into Mexico and then walk the rest?
Walk.
But where did you fly into?
What?
Where did you fly into? What city?
No, only walking.
How do you walk from India?
Yes. Banana.
Are you from India too?
Pakistan.
Oh, Pakistan. Oh, Pakistan? Pakistan?
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. Okay. And how did you guys fly into Mexico and then walk in the rest of the way? Walk? How did you get from Pakistan over to here? You're from Pakistan too?
India.
Oh, India?
India, Punjab.
India?
Punjab.
India. Okay. Yeah, we ran into some of your friends over there.
Police station, how far?
Yeah, this way.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it is. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, when I first saw that video, I was like, nah, there's no way. That's not possible. That can't be. And I'm a conspiracy guy, and I'm like, nah, that can't be. Not according to the mainstream maps, okay? Now, I have this map here because it's very interesting. And I've already done a video on the North Pole, how they hid the land masses over here. But let's think about this logically. Let's look at the mainstream map and see if this is actually possible. So these bros are claiming that they walked from India and Pakistan and countries over here through China, through Russia, all the way over here. This is the only way to do it. Now, the Bering Strait is not solid land. There's water, but you can walk across it when it freezes over. The Bering Strait connects Alaska to Russia. So between Alaska and Russia is about 53 miles of water. In between there's some islands and stuff. And during certain times of the year, the winter time, you can cross this. This freezes over sometimes. It's not consistent. So we're supposed to believe that these bros walked all the way across and then all the way down to America. That's like 6,700 miles. Now, one of those dudes did have a winter coat. It's possible the other guys had winter coats. They walked all the way across and they just ditched their winter gear. It's possible. But I find this hard to believe. I find this very hard to believe that they just able to walk through these countries, no problems. And we know that the mainstream lied about the shape of the earth. We know they lied about the shape of the earth. They said the earth was round when it's actually flat. They said we're flying through space when the Michelson-Morley experiment proved that earth is not moving. We're not flying through space. Space isn't moving past us or anything like that. Okay, the earth or the stars move in a firmament, but there's no way to prove that the earth is moving. It's not possible. And these old school maps, this map of 1587, there's land in the North Pole, there's land around here, the ice walls, not even ice. Looks like regular land here. So is it possible that these guys were able to walk across in some way that we don't know nothing about? They lied about the shape of the earth, so of course they would lie about where the countries are, how close they are, how big they are. Why wouldn't they lie about that? This is a closer view. There's clearly land in the center here. Even in this map, there's still land in the center. And there's land up here. What is this? What is this land right here? Oh, that's Australia. No. Australia should be over here on the southern portion of India. What is that? That's a landmass, and that's on the other map too. That same landmass is here. Are they trying to say that this is Alaska? I think Alaska is supposed to be right here, but this over here, what is that? Are they trying to say that that's Hawaii? That huge landmass is Hawaii? Is that Lemuria? There's some conspiracy about this country or this nation or land called Lemuria. Am I tripping? I'm not saying it's true that they walked from India. I'm saying it's possible. But I am saying that they definitely believe that they did. Because they even look confused when she keeps asking, so what city did you fly in? In this moment, they look at each other like what is she asking? What is she talking about? No, we walked here. These guys really believe that they walked there. There's something to that. It doesn't seem like they're lying. And even at the end, when they kind of walk off, they're like, all right, have a good day. All right. It's just a matter of fact, lady. We walked. It is what it is. Like, there's something to this. I'm not quite sure. Maybe the government is lying about where these countries are, where the maps that we have, maybe they're not real. Maybe, China is way closer to America. Maybe it is actually connected. Who knows? It's hard to say. It's hard to know because we know the mainstream is pathological liars. So when stuff like this happens, it makes you doubt what they tell you.
What do you mean turning?
Okay, so when you're turning, say in a plane, when the plane's turning, it's changing vectors constantly. Therefore, it's accelerating. Okay, now you would feel that motion, correct? Now,
yes,
we don't feel the Earth. We don't feel the Earth accelerating or moving, and they claim it actually does change speeds.
If all of those velocities, okay, I mean, those numbers that you threw out, they actually sound right. I think I remember those numbers seem about right. So what we have here is it's an inertial reference frame. So there's no change in velocity. Like let's just assume, I mean, there's centripetal acceleration but let's just assume that there's no changes of velocity. So if the Earth is moving at, what did you say, 66,600 miles per hour or something like that?
66,000.
It's at a constant velocity. So it's in an inertial reference frame. So no.
So really quick, the actual orbit is actually said to go from 29 kilometers a second orbit to 30. Now, if you do that in miles per hour, that's a change of 2,200 miles per hour.
You mean it's changing its velocity?
Yeah, supposedly as it goes around the sun, it's going faster and it slows down and faster and it slows down. That's what we're taught.
We actually see the sun speeding up in the south and covering a longer distance in the south because of that. But they claim the Earth is doing it.
Okay, let's backtrack here. So if we're in a non-accelerating reference frame, so like say you're on a big yellow school bus and you're traveling 100 kilometers per hour on the highway, you can walk around, or an airplane. Let's use an airplane. If you're in an airplane traveling at a consistent velocity, 500 miles per hour or whatever, you can get up, you can go to the bathroom, you could drink wine and things. You don't really feel that you're moving, but once the plane either accelerates in the positive or accelerates in the negative direction, then the acceleration, it becomes a non-inertial reference frame, right? So
let me address that. Yeah. You want to go? Do you want to go, Angel?
I'll go real quick. So you're assuming that the plane is going in a straight line, though. Now, if the airplane is turning, that's acceleration. If the plane turns, that's acceleration.
Correct. Yes.
So hang on. So
you would feel it.
We're in that school bus. We're on a perfectly smooth road, great suspension, going 100 miles an hour, no problem. You can drink your tea. You can go to the bathroom if they had a bathroom on a school bus. But if we got a plate of water, a dinner plate, filled it with water, yeah, and that bus took the slightest turn or changed its speed the slightest amount, the water is going to go right off the plate.
Correct.
Right. So we're dropping the curve of the Earth. If you're on the equator, dropping at a mile per minute. to follow the curve of the Earth. If I was going 1,000 miles an hour in an airplane, I have to drop at a mile per minute just not to go into outer space, right? If I'm in America, right, and the Earth is spinning, not only am I going, let's call it 500 miles per hour, because I'm halfway to the North Pole, we'll say, but I'm also turning because the spin of the Earth should throw me out towards the equator, right? East and west are circles on a flat Earth and on a globe Earth. They don't prove either, but they're not straight lines. And if we're spinning, I'm turning all the way around. So when I'm facing west, I should be leaning to the south because that turn should be pushing me to the south. If I had a plate of water, there should be more water on the south side of that plate because I'm turning at a mile per minute.
Hold on a second. There's some kinematics involved here. When a plane takes off, it is not taking off at zero velocity. Like it will be taking off at the initial velocity of, say, the Earth spin. So there's initial velocity relative to there's a velocity relative to the Earth, and then there's a velocity if you look from outside the Earth down. Now, when you said the plane, when it's flying, it would be did you say curving down or nosing down?
It would have to nose down.
On a globe, would have to, yes. And it doesn't do that in reality.
Yes, to maintain altitude. And they are traveling at relatively high speeds, 600 miles per hour.
Yeah, right in there.
The navigation system of the plane would have to follow the curvature of the Earth.
Yes.
Otherwise it would continue straight out into, space, right?
Can I show? I've got my my flight simulator. If you want to see it, I can show you that real quick.
Yeah, sure. It's interesting stuff.
Okay, so in reality, I've debated many pilots. They all admit they don't need to nose down in reality. Actually, I debated a pilot the other day. He was really interested and, was pretty much getting flat smack left, right, center. He had to rethink his whole world. But yeah, this is a globe. This is the actual dimensions of the globe. And if I start the flight, it's going to take off, and it's got the attitude indicator here, which maintains rigidity in space. Now, as the plane flies, I'm just going to speed it up a bit. You're going to notice that because it's curving down and away from the plane's just going to keep gaining altitude on the top.
The Earth is curving down and away.
Yeah, the Earth is curving down and away from the plane. Now, if I just leave it in straight and level flight, this is how the plane flies in reality. It doesn't nose down. But because it's not nosing down on a tangent, it's going to end up in space eventually. It's going to be just gaining altitude into infinity.
Well, I don't think it has to have enough thrust and energy to get up there. I don't know if a plane, but then again, gravity is getting weaker the higher it goes, so it would require less thrust.
No, so gravity would have to pull only the nose of the plane down, though. It'd have to be selective in this case. Also,
but don't the airplane navigate? Like most pilots do not fly by stick over the course of their flight path. If they're flying from Miami to Rome, they're not actually flying across the Atlantic by stick. They're using the autopilot system. Wouldn't the autopilot system simply correct for the altitude, meaning that every minute the Earth is falling away, but wouldn't the autopilot system just simply correct the altitude to keep the plane at the exact same altitude that it needs to be? That makes sense.
It does, but over a flat Earth, because what happens is this attitude indicator has a gyroscope in it, which maintains rigidity in space. And if the plane was following a
gyroscope,
if the plane was actually following a curve, as you can see now that I'm nosing down, it's changing. It's showing a nose down in the attitude indicator on the left there. And as you fly, if I've debated a pilot, right, who flew 4,800 miles with the nose up, and we've got pitch data to support this. The plane doesn't nose down in reality. It just maintains
well, you can feel it when you're on a plane. It almost feels like you're always flying with the nose a little bit tilted forward. You never really feel that it's nosing down. But I guess the question is, what about those? Okay, for those large commercial airliners, they're all teched out now. They have so much, they have autopilot systems and all that. But what about a small, regular, non technological plane like a Cessna or something like that? the pilot would.
That makes it worse.
The pilot would have to correct for the Earth falling away, would they not?
And they don't.
But they don't.
And they don't.
A pilot has told you he does not correct for the.
Yes.
Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. Let me show you. I was on a flight to Mexico, 125 miles from the airport. Pilot goes, "We're going to start descending for the airport, 20 minutes, whatever, and we'll be there." And so we've asked pilots many times, when you do your drop of descent, your angle of descent calculation, you say, okay, I'm at 35,000 feet. I've got 125 miles. I have to figure out how many feet per mile to hit the runway, right? Makes sense. So a lot of the stuff is done automatically, but most pilots actually do the calculation themselves so they can figure it out. But this is a flat Earth calculation. At 125 miles, there's 2 miles of curvature. So if they just use their calculation, which is the flat Earth calculation, when they got to their runway, they'd be 2 miles too high.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I would just assume that instruments correct for that.
Well, you're assuming, but there are no instruments that can correct that. So now I'm going to show you something that we can't invoke refraction or anything. So this is a flight from Germany to, no, not this one. This is a flight from Germany to, I think, Brazil, 4,000 miles. Now, if we look at these stars here, they're just staying where they are. This plane is going a quarter of the way around the Earth. So the stars in front of it should go over their head. Here's Google Earth. This is what Google Earth says that flight should look like. These stars should be rising up because you're diving over the Earth.
Yes, so, that makes sense.
That makes sense. So this is what Google Earth says it should look like. But in reality, when we actually look at the flight, the stars don't rise up at all. The ones on the horizon stay on the horizon. Just when we turn, things move, but they don't rise up at all. So that defies the physical reality of a globe. You can't say refraction. You can't say anything because they should be doing this, but they don't.
How far is that flight, did you say?
4,000 miles. Now, the argument that the Globers come up with is, oh, well, you're going with the spin of the Earth spin and it's counteracting. That's not true. We're heading south. And if we were going with the spin of the Earth, that's only 500 miles an hour. So it would be going up 500 miles an hour. But the problem is they did it on the way back also. And if it was going with the spin of the Earth, now it's going against it. And those stars should be rising up twice as fast.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's the same. It's the same in both directions.
Yeah, that's interesting. So 4,000 miles. And what is the circumference of the Earth?
24,901.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there should be a significant change in the star patterns.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question for you. Okay, if you take off, if you're on the North Pole, and your plane is parked on the North Pole, your plane is just spinning around on a globe Earth, right? It's just spinning
like a ballerina.
Correct, like a ballerina.
You have no sideways tangential speed. Go ahead. You're making a flat Earth argument. Go ahead.
Am I? Okay, let me ask you this question.
You're going to.
So if you're doing a little spin on the top of the Earth and you want to fly from the North Pole exactly
to Ecuador.
Yeah, let's pick Ecuador, Quito. It's right on the equator.
Right, and they have a north-south runway there. The runway's oriented north-south.
We've got a north-south, so you have no lateral velocity at all. So you're just spinning. So velocity in the X and the Y would be 0. And then you fly south.
Yep, there would be no adjustment for Coriolis. I've debated many pilots and they will admit it.
And the velocity, the velocity of the Earth rotating at the equator is about 1,000 miles per hour?
Yeah, that's that runway is moving 1,000 miles per hour sideways. So even if the plane turned to the west or the east to try to chase the runway.
Well, you would have to literally be flying sideways.
Yeah, but even if it ran at the perpendicular to the runway is going 500 miles an hour faster than the airplane's going. So the runway would just run away from him.
Let me give you another one. Let me give you an interesting one. Now, listen to this, okay? The Earth in your paradigm, okay, is moving 1,037 miles an hour east of the equator. Now, if we put a plane flying at the equator east in the same direction as your Earth is spinning, but only going 500 miles an hour, is it going to moonwalk backwards?
Well, hang on a second. So the Earth is spinning, did you say east, right?
Spinning to the east.
Yeah, 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, and then the plane before it takes off would be moving at that same speed. So that would be the plane's initial velocity.
Yeah.
And then it would add 500 miles on top of that.
So flying east, it's going to look stationary relative to the Earth. And then if we, but now get this, if we turn around, do 180 with the plane, go west, now the Earth is coming like this, the atmos is coming like this towards the plane. Is the plane going to experience 1,000-mile-an-hour headwind, or is it going to get to its destination 1,000 miles an hour faster? The answer is none of those.
Well, wind blows in every direction. It's
exactly
100%. So the global argument is, well, the over billions of years, the topography of the Earth has made all of the atmosphere Velcro to the Earth and spins with the Earth. So at the equator, it's going 1,000 miles an hour. In America, it's going 500 miles an hour. In North Pole, it's just spinning like a tornado.
Well, just look up in the sky. You see, someday when clouds are blowing one direction, someday they're blowing the next. That doesn't
exactly.